Hello everyone, welcome to Dagon. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a little H.P. Lovecraftian sort of story, interactive story in a sense. Dagon is a, there we go, see they got a description for me, I don't even need to come up with one. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay, I did not expect him to talk so loud. I guess we'll turn all that down a little bit. Okay, resume. During the game, you'll encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, stay focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. You can also access all the found facts later. They'll be available in the main menu.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Ah. We're gonna jump out. Oh, we're actually.
Do not
oh
think
no.
from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Yeah, well, that definitely is starting off a little on the darker side. Morphine. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War and World War I. It was also sold without restrictions until 1914. You know, we're actually not going to go through all the historical facts. We're just mainly going to focus on the story itself.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Uh-oh. Man, I will say, this place is beautiful. Oh, buddy. That's not ending well for us.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
This actually looks pretty nice.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Okay, so they captured your ship, but they didn't just kill you guys? They kept you as prisoners?
So
or they threw you in a little boat?
The discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small
you
boat
escaped.
with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Hey, well, sounds like you did pretty well for yourself, I'm not gonna lie. Ah.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Yeah, no, there's not much here, man. Good luck figuring out where it's supposed to
Never
go.
a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Well, you're doing better than me then. I wouldn't even be able to tell you that.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Nah, you're in the middle of the ocean, my guy. Oh, we're gonna go base off the moon?
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted
That sun was a
days,
little
I
bright.
drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun.
Wow, you don't have a
waiting either for some
paddle.
passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I just noticed there's no or is that a paddle down there? My guy, did you have a paddle or did you not have a paddle? Oh no, we're gonna run out of water.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair.
Why do we have to
in
just
my
stay
solitude
staring at the
upon
sun?
the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
That unbroken blue is like bright.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
What? Oh, hello. What? What is that? Like a squid octopus monster thing?
It was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Yeah, no, that's...
And
Ugh.
in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might
Oh yeah, see, we did have a
imagine that
paddle.
my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
You know, there are some
For there
weird
was in
creatures
the air,
here.
and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses
we're
of
getting out of
decaying
it.
fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
God, the
There
words
was
here.
nothing within
Big
hearing,
words, man.
and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
That landscape over there moves.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh
that looks
beneath
like
my feet.
Nighttime almost. Neat. Don't like those noises.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through
What was
some
that?
unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable
Interesting.
millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
So is that like... There's like a lot of Lovecraftian stuff. I know there's like Cthulhu and all that stuff. I don't know too much about the like HP Lovecraftian sort of universe or any of that sort of stuff. But I know there's a lot of like octopus stuff going on, like octopus, squids, it's like tentacles, stuff like that. So is it like
Nor were there
ocean
any
based?
seafowl to prey upon the
I don't
dead
know.
things.
Ah, a fish.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat.
Ah, so it's
which
morning.
lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun
Wait, that
moved
ground is
across the
breathing?
heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Well, that's good at least.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself
Why
a
do
pack
those have to be
containing
moving?
food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
My guy, I don't think anyone's coming to rescue you. I mean, have you seen your situation?
On the third morning, I found the soil
The
dry
third
enough
morning?
to walk upon with ease.
Oh, I thought he was walking for 3 days. I was
The
like,
odor of
God
the fish
damn.
was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for
God.
an unknown goal.
What? Just gonna walk in this endless thing?
All day I forged
Oh, what is
steadily
that?
westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What? Yeah, I'd be careful of those mounds, man. One of them was breathing. There's a whale. We have nothing to say here. Oh
That
God,
night,
what is
I
that?
encamped, and on the following day
Thing's
still
huge.
travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
You know, I'm with you, man. That thing does not look any closer. Oh, now it's closer.
Evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
And there's something glowing over there. I don't know if you noticed that. There's something glowing at the base.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
That's
I know
probably a
not
good
why
decision.
My dreams were so wild that night. But ere
Cursed
the waning
hill.
and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain,
It's a
I was
cursed.
awake in a
Oh, wow.
cold
That is a.
desperation, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the
Fair
glow of
enough.
the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
What do you mean?
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
You know, that is a very good
Indeed,
point.
I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Really, the only reason you travel by day is if you need light. No, my pack. That's what I need to
I
grab.
have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Oh, it's gonna get
But
even
I
worse,
think my horror was
isn't it?
greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon,
Pit.
whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I
Wait,
felt
what?
myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into
Oh,
a
God.
fathomless
Oh,
chaos
God.
of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
As the moon
interrupted him.
climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Oh, that's good at least.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent. Whilst
We're
after
going
a
down
drop of
there?
only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Fair enough then.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze.
Is that an
I
obelisk?
scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Sir, there is an
All at
obelisk.
once, my attention was captured by a vast
Oh,
and singular
God.
object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
My guy, you might want to leave that thing alone.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Right.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
I'm
Closer
with you on that
scrutiny
one.
filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Don't tell me we're gonna go. Oh,
For
God.
despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
Oh,
whose
monolith,
massive
my
bulk
bad.
had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened,
Interesting.
yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Your surroundings? What's going on with your surroundings? Is there something I missed? I've kind of been looking around. Oh, there's water here.
Now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps.
Oh, there are marks on that tower.
An and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Oh, it looks like something was living up above. And then there's the water line. And so now we're on the ground that was down beneath here, I guess.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books. Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
What, the octopus?
But
Or just that thing in the middle?
Forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
This guy? Let's see, there's actually a little fact there, but we're just going to keep
Plainly
going.
visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Really?
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
What are...
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail. For the
There's not much detail there.
Me grow faint.
To be fair.
Grotesque
Oh, or
beyond
you
the
mean deeds.
imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, representing
it is the size
himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size. But
yeah, that thing is like...
decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Really?
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Interesting. I don't know why I disagree with you on this, but...
into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist. I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
It is not very silent, to be honest with you.
Suddenly, I saw it.
What did you see?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh no.
Loathsome. It darted like a stupendous monster of
What?
to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Yeah, we shouldn't be seeing that. I think any reasonable person would.
And of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
No, so we're climbing back up the cliff now. We're trying to get out of here.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Yeah, I know you quite literally lost your mind. That seems to be at least from what I know, that seems to be a common theme.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest notes.
Why?
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Wait, what?
brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Wait, so they found you in the middle of the ocean, but you weren't in the middle of the ocean, you were like beached.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
There's another fact there, but we're gonna keep moving.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Ah, the fish god. Yes. The fish god. Where am I supposed to click? What? The Dagon. I pronounced that wrong. Interesting. Oh. So an ancient fish god is what we saw.
Soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Oh, so he was not the person to talk to, it sounds like. You guys can pause that to read that if you want. What? We're just gonna pace back and forth? Oh, we're back here.
Especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Ah, so you became addicted.
I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Interesting.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself.
I don't know,
Ever
man.
does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind.
Jesus.
Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal
Okay. That is a lot of monsters. No, that is an interesting thought, though. What is down there? We've yet to fully explore it.
The end is near.
What? Oh, God.
A noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh, yeah. The door is the next thing. So that's why you're jumping out the window? Oh, dude, it's opening.
God, that hand! The window!
The window! God. Well, that was a H.P. Lovecraftian story made into like a kind of interactive game sort of thing. That was pretty cool, man. I've always wanted to kind of get into that H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but I've never actually done it. But hey, this is another one of those experience things, you know. I do like playing these every so often. They're cool. You get to learn a little bit more as you go. But yeah, if you guys liked this, by all means, drop a like. Hit that subscribe button to see more stuff like this. Let me know in the comments if you like this kind of stuff too. But also to see other games that I play. So yeah, and with that, I will catch you guys next time.